little bit of that weather system that turns it into some sort of stable system. And as we know, every butterfly's wing counts. Because if the slightest little change to one part of that system, months later it's changed. And governments cannot predict every butterfly's wing flap. They cannot direct the system because it's made up of an uncountable number of components working independently and unpredictably. And what we've done with that, let alone rainforests and weather systems, we've done fabulous things with that, and we don't even think about it. But mundane example, the shoe industry. Think of all the different types of shoes you can wear, from sandals to boots to skiing boots to roller skates to bedroom slippers, in different fabrics, different colors, different styles. It's fantastic, and that's self-organized. Can you imagine if the government thought shoes were so important to society that they had to run it? I need to say no more for the sound of it. Transportation. We've gone from designing saddles for horses to carts to bicycles to cars to roller skates to jet skis to airplanes. Nobody planned any of this. You know, we had two bicycle mechanics in Ohio created the first airplane in 1906, I think. Nobody planned to have an international airline industry that could take you all over the world. It's self-organized from the bottom up. We're really good at doing this stuff when there's not somebody at the top down saying this is how it shall be. And we've got all the technology, guitars, refrigerators, cigarette lighters, cameras, I mean all this wonderful stuff that we create. Try and think of something the state created that we benefited from. And radar, that came out from the state. Fondue, I don't know if anybody still eats fondue, that was in response to a cheese shortage in Switzerland. The government offered a prize. How can we get rid of our milk surplus? Sorry, not shortage, our milk surplus. Dip food in cheese. And there's lots more that we could work out, whether it's our education system or how we get around or which side of the road we drive on, without being told what to do by a central state protecting us with an umbrella full of nuclear weapons. And, you know, we can and we have. And we've got the 4,000 years before the first stage. When we were civilized, we looked after ourselves. In medieval Europe, you had independent cities that were not beholden to any king or duke or prince. And they did well. Florence was one of them. And in 1340, Florence had 90,000 inhabitants. And they were all peasants, because none of them were dukes or kings or princes. And they organized, they had peasants' communes, which started off on a street, then up to a block, then to sections of the city. They had industries organized into trades and guilds. And in this fully functioning city, without a state, without top-down control and police, they had 8,000 children in primary school. They had 600 in their 4 universities. And they had 30 hospitals accommodating 1,000 patients, which is about the same hospital-to-patient ratio as they have in Germany today. This is without top-down control. My own ancestors on my mother's side came from a place in now Holstein, Germany, called Dithmarschen. It was a farmer's nation. They'd reclaimed the land from the sea. They existed successfully for several hundred years. They repelled one invasion, but were eventually overcome by the sword. And after that, of course, some of them emigrated to America, where they saw the possibility of another free nation. And you know, big question people often have is, well, without the state, what do you do about the safety nets, all the social care systems that are in place? Well, first of all, as I said earlier, if we had 100% of our wealth in circulation instead of 60 or 70% going to the state, there would be one heck of a lot less poverty, less problems out there. And also, we are charitable people. Human nature reaches out to help each other. We had lots of institutions formed by industrialists in the late 19th century, hospitals, schools, universities, orphanages, and then the state took all that over and turned it into institution rather than a problem to be shared. And I do have a lot of faith in human nature. We still have lots of charities looking after things, doing that kind of work. And we do have, this is one of the key axes on which the state says, well, look at the problems we've got to deal with them, we need more care, we need more taxes, we've got to take more of your money, otherwise we can't solve this out. Well, we all know damn well those extra taxes are going to pay the interest to the banks on the money they borrowed, because for the last 30, 40 years, or maybe less, I don't know, they have not been able to manage their budgets. They take all this money out of our pockets, and they still spend more than they get, assuming that there's going to be endless growth to get them out of that thicket. That's why we have to have endless growth, because they spend money they haven't got, and they still want more. And if you imagine, now if we jumped up from 60 or 70% to 100%, so we gave the government 100% of our earnings. Do you think then that they would sort out the world? Every kid would have an education, nobody would starve, we'd have clean air, a healthy environment, and so forth? I don't think so. I think we'd have even worse of the same. So really, there's no option but to take it on ourselves. I mean, what can we do about this? It's a difficult problem. They're well entrenched. They've got the jails and the guns, and there's no such thing as violent overthrow. Violence does not work. These guys are the masters of violence and coercion, and that's not the way to approach this problem or any problem, frankly, whether it's educating our children or anything else. And one of the wonderful tools we've got, the like of which has never existed on this planet before, is the internet. This incredible connectivity of everybody across the planet. And it's as if we've discovered the Americas, a whole new continent, but we don't have to kill any indigenous population. We don't have to, and there's no... And there's no borders. We don't have a Pacific Ocean that's limiting it. It's this incredible new territory that the government tried to take control of, but they haven't. They're now getting influence and insisting on information, but there are no borders on the internet. No visas required to do anything. It's this fantastic field, and okay, some of the honchos of it are up there today. But we have got fantastic mechanisms like with PayPal and eBay. They have systems in there that make sure that good traders get to the top, bad traders don't. There's checks and balances, but there are no police, no prisons, no fines. They do that without using coercion. And we've got eBay, we've got Silk Road, Bitcoins, so much going on. Nearly over now, but we have got the tools. We've got the ability. It's in human nature to self-organize, do this. So when this state collapses, and they all collapse, don't try and build a new state. Stop thinking that they're ever going to sort it out, that you're going to tweak the knobs and get it working. We're not. So take the responsibility on. We can develop the mechanism to sort these things out without coercion. That's the end of my talk.
Yay!
And I've got flyers.
You want some love.
Love, this is true.
We're sending a hotel for love. What a shame.
Flyers for everybody! Flyers! Get your flyers!
Yeah. Well, I was
In there? You're kidding? Wow.
Everybody gets a cut out of every...
Yeah, of course, yeah.
That website has the book on it, actually.
A good bloody idea.
Yeah. Yeah, so I'm not sure that's taken on.
Yeah.
Well, we need a kind of...
No, I don't think he's, you know, he's just saying the system that it uses. There's no laws involved. It's just they sort things out by reputation, and they manage to, you know, keep it all in order. That's his point. He's not saying they're particularly good guys, but he's saying, you know, that system works. That was because David Ives over there. That's I will stay to listen to Gregory's talk because I think that's flipping fantastic. Hello, you've even got a ribbon. Yes. Announce yourself. I'm a Bilderberger babe.
That's David Icke there.
Yeah, no, I gathered it was, yes.
Is he going to come over here?
I don't know, he's on tomorrow, isn't he?
Yeah.
You want us to go to the tent? Yes!
Wow, it's interesting, this whole thing. It's like they've been throwing it up and kind of having to PR it now. Like, no, there's nothing to hide. The whole thing.
Would you like to read about Judgment Day?
Why not? I like some cheerful reading.
There's a few of us here. He's our only hope in these times that are coming.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he can save us, atone for our sins.
Ladies and gentlemen, there's someone slightly more important than the rest of you over there, seemingly. Please go and hang around with the slightly more important people and remember who you are, which is someone slightly less important than the slightly more important person.
I'll tell him. I've got a minute now, both of them. Oh, they're walking back now.
You're all sheep here.
You're all sheeple!
The lizard sheep hybrids. Personality, it's all about that wedge.
Sorry, just a quick announcement. Michael Walsh, your wife is looking for you. I'm not sure if it's advisable to come out behind the trees. Probably going to hurt you or shout at you at the very least, as usual. You've done something wrong. Just assume you've done something wrong, Michael. Face the music.
She'll find you.
Your wife's anything like mine, anyway.
Yes. Be quiet for a minute,
Yeah, no, I've got
like some beauty queen.
It's about the Bilderberg. Over the hills and far away, the Teletubbies have come out to play. I don't know the rest of it.
You should do. Now time you watched it, mate.
I still do.
Still do.
Let's see it.
Get you another one, Gregory. Should I get you another one? See one there.
Thank you. That's a nice story.
What they